Good morning, everybody. Oh, yeah, hang on, sorry, technical problem.
Like, we can see the PowerPoint.
Sorry, we just can't see you.
It's no bad thing.
Sorry. Okay, that is better. Okay, so for our seminar ideas, we thought that it would be quite useful to have, and we still need to ask him, if we can get Brian Chase to give an overview of the Southern African paleoclimate, based on his this year's paper about the orbital forcings and the long-term conceptual models and how that can feed into the incomplete proxy record and how we can grapple with that. So that's the sort of paleoclimate angle. And then myself and Gemma were thinking of doing an overview of the vegetation records, specifically looking at the pollen work done within the Southern African context. And then again, another one we need to still ask and discuss with the archaeologists, but we're thinking that then having a Southern African archaeology state-of-the-art type talk with somebody like Justin or Brian or Tyler, or all three of them being involved in that, as well as including some of the South African archaeologists that are not currently part of this workshop, but might be interested in giving their opinions and feedback and the research that they've been doing over the last several decades. And then from a CREST perspective, and this can really be a cross-hub and not really specifically related to South African stuff, but we can use some of the South African applications to demonstrate the powerfulness of CREST. And Manu, of course, is down for that. And then the last point on that front is that we are thinking of, as we mentioned before, a specific online training workshop that's sort of a smaller group of people, or a couple of those, depending on Manu's time and availability, to train everyone in CREST within the R platform. So that's our seminars. So any questions, comments on that before we move on?
I think that's good. I think the Justin, Brian, Tyler archaeology state of the art, they indicated that they're keen to do that. So I think that fits well with other like positivity that I've been getting from elsewhere. Yeah, no, that sounds good. I think one of the key things with these seminars is to start to think about like where are the data, what are the data sets that are available, what have we got to work with in these other ones. So I think that the suggestions fit in quite nicely there. So that's great. Any other thoughts or comments on that?
Nothing from
no. Okay. So
okay. So then we're really looking at so research direction, themes, and potential papers. And as discussed yesterday, we're thinking about a vegetation synthesis paper, and we'd like to discuss this more specifically with people like Sarah and Rahab, really leveraging the African pollen database records and creating a database from that first, and then working on a paper, very much a cross-hub overall project level, where we can contribute obviously more heavily from the Southern African pollen record side. And then depending on what that looks like, do a CREST analysis on that overall data, with the emphasis being on picking selective records that fit the criteria, not just everything. And then from that, seeing if we can work again with the archaeologists to apply more of a archaeological lens and see how that data that we can put together can really help them and change interpretations on that front. And then what else do we have? Then potentially also sort of slightly separately, you're looking at paleoclimate synthesis from different types of archives and proxies that we have in South Africa. And then maybe, I mean, Vince can maybe mention a little bit more about his idea on that going forward, if we would like to discuss that now or later. And then, of course, some sort of a modeling element can be brought into this overall contribution and applied to it. Also not my forte, so I'm going to leave it at that. And maybe using this whole data set to look at the context, the evidence or absence of this, Stephanie's concept of the paleo-enzo signal, and looking at a more sort of shorter time scale, potentially over the last 50 Ka or something like that, where we have more records and where we can maybe demonstrate this over different time periods. Anything else from that slide, you know?
I think you've covered it well, but we tentatively set up a meeting with Rahab and Sarah for this afternoon so that we can chat about all of this, given that vegetation synthesis paper is the first step. So we'll have a chat and go from there.
Yeah, and then that's this last slide is just really sort of fleshing out some of the ideas for that type of a paper and things that we need to think about and put together, and then potentially apply from a CREST perspective, sort of in twofold. But I don't think we really need to discuss that now. We just thought we'd provide some detail there.
Yeah, no, I think that's really great, and I think it will be, it's of course important to talk to Rahab and Sarah and to get those data together. Whether that's one paper or two papers, like whether you have like this kind of overview of the vegetation paper and then a CREST application on the key records, which sort of go together. I mean, that's something that, like, as we have control of the special issue, like, might be possible, might be desirable, but having that as one or two papers would be really, really cool. And I think that's exactly the sort of thing that we should be. Yeah, if we can have this sort of output, I'd be delighted. Testing I think naturally sort of from the independent paleoclimate archives, I would also strongly encourage that. I think it's nice to get those independent paleoclimate records, and I'm sure Stephanie would be interested to think about spatial patterning and those data sets and how they fit in with these ideas. That would be really cool. As we discussed yesterday, Southern Africa should be a nice place to really see the impacts of this, and so I think that would be great. So that sounds really, exciting. So very, very cool. Any other comments from other people? Thoughts, opportunities, crossover? I don't think Sarah's here, but Rahab, I don't know if you want to just jump in, and we'll come to your group next, but you might want to just say like this sounds exciting, or this fits with our ideas, or anything. I think you're there. I can't see your little face because where's the...
No, I think she's here. Rahab.
Too many people.
There's a Zoom East African Hub.
Yeah, no, I can see Rahab. But we can't hear you, Rahab.
Okay, now you can hear me? Okay, you allow me to share our final slide?
Should be able to, yeah.
Hang on, let me get it.
No.
There we go.
Just a second. I'll show you again. Ask just a second. Give us 1 second.
That's okay. No.
stay on Google Drive. Okay. If I close it, it's not going to be enough. That would be tragic.
But the North American slide.
You do? Okay. Ah, okay, that's what they said.
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Broken down.
You want to switch to your computer then? Or you want to send me and I put it up in mine?
I can just do the presentation here.
That's
but
perfect.
If I can
Sure.
get it to put it down. No. Or I can just share from here.
Okay. I don't know. Is Rob still there?
Yeah, I think Rahab's just sorting out.
Yeah, but I don't see her on Zoom anymore. Oh no, here she is. Yes.
Yes. Tell me.
All right.
Give me some music.
Jeopardy.
Okay, how are you doing, Rahab? Oh, yeah, here we go.
Okay. All right, we can see the slides.
Yes.
We can't hear anything, so.
We can't hear you. We can see pretty pictures. Can anybody hear us? Is anybody out there? No, Manu can obviously hear us.
Yes, he can.
Can hear you.
Okay.
Rahab, we can't hear you though.
Okay, moment.
Okay. Oh, now we hear something. Something.
You're in the room.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you can hear me.
Yes, and we see the slides too.
Okay, sorry about that. Today, the thoughts that East African people we discussed and the way forward and our thoughts for today, I'll read as they are. First is to identify a few overarching scientific questions within the general objective of the project, that is within East African rift system, because all East African and we fall there, and a lot of human evolution studies and dispersal has been already been studied in this region, and look at the data sets we have on climate, vegetation, and humans, and then synthesize that and have a bigger synthesis paper that can highlight or whatever has been the events that have been happening in the past. And we, as we discussed, we realized that the later ice age glacial, we have more data sets across the region. So this is one paper that we see is a huge opportunity. there are already some works that have been done with the long course breeding in the region. So this is one opportunity that we feel we can synthesize some data for a good paper. Then to develop a metadata for every country and then East Africa, following the standard protocol, and compile this data, be it climate, vegetation, archaeology, and paleontology. And Asfa was keen to tell us what has been happening with the pages. Like already there's a paper that has been published by members of this group and bigger who are also be working with us on pages 2K. And then the issue of data stewardship, like the African pollen database, at least that one we are in it. And also we can also think about other data sets in terms of archaeology and paleontology and climate. And then a key thing here is to identify also the data gaps, because temporarily how people are working in different countries. Sometimes we capture the similar period, but we don't get the chance to integrate these data sets together for the region, but for countries we have. And now the resolution or the way forward for this is to try and have those data gaps in terms of space and time, and also identify the quality of the data and what resolution do we have, what time frame are we talking about, and see how we can harness and have all this data brought to the world, to the rest of the world in a nice package. And then the new research frontiers, like the new research questions and the new archives that we have in, like for instance, we know in Ethiopia, there's a good work that has been done on paleoclimate, which is ahead of the rest of the Eastern African region. And also revisit the old archives for new proxies. Asian DNA that is now happening can now be applied in various sites and settings to see if we can have some data that complement each other from different countries. And then institutionalize the paleoclimate and archaeological research in Eastern Africa. And here the idea is to develop working groups within different various themes, and then these working groups can again come together. So all along we thought, next slide, we will group ourselves into small groups, like depending on the themes and the expertise that we have in the region. And we'll have the paleoclimate and paleoenvironment group that will be led by ASPA. Then we'll have the archaeology and human evolution group that will be led by Diema, and we'll have the vegetation group and paleoenvironment that will be led by Rushina. And within these groups, we'll organize seminars given on we'll have to think of the calendar and how we'll present the seminars so that we stay at par with each other. And again, as what Lynn said and Gemma, that we need to think of the African pollen database and the vegetation richness of this region, and also bring out a paper for this. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Raha. I think that's, yeah, that assessment of where the data gaps are and the data quality is something that's, I've had conversations with, Sarah as well on going for this. So I think that really, there's a lot of opportunities there to get those different groups together, and I think that's a lot of what Lynn was talking about just now for the coming out of their group. So I think that's perfect. I like the organization into the different working groups, and hopefully that's productive, and it's good to have people that are leading those to hopefully keep things on track.
I have a question. The seminars you talked about, will this be just within the hub, or are these seminars thought to be provided for the rest of the hubs too? I'm not sure I understood that.
There will be within the hub, and also we'll also have seminars across the hubs.
Okay.
Great. I mean, I think it's good to have them, yeah, at both levels. I mean, if you guys can get together and keep the ball rolling regionally, that's also good. And then we can involve into the bigger seminars, the monthly seminars. I think that would be excellent. Yeah, very cool. I would also be interested to know, like, yeah, the pages stuff, and you said there's a recent paper out in the Pages 2K. Maybe that's something we could circulate and add to our list of publications that we're starting to generate. Thanks to those that have already sent stuff through for that. I will try and get those collated and onto the website shortly. But if you could send that through, that would be also very, very nice. Other thoughts from out there or from in the various rooms? While Stephanie dies slowly,
Yeah,
not so,
I'm terribly sorry.
not so quietly here.
I'm sorry.
Stop
laughing at my demise.
Yeah. I'll try to stop laughing. Okay. Any other thoughts or questions here? No. In which case, I'm going to share my screen and show you what Sarah sent me yesterday. Okay, so okay, you can see this. So what did we get from the North Americans? The idea that we talked a bit about timings of the seminars. So they've got that's what this section here is related to when and where we have the sort of regional, the everybody together seminars. And we were thinking that sort of 4 o'clock, sort of European or Central European and South Africa, which would be, I think, 5 o'clock in East Africa, because you guys are then an hour ahead. And then it would be 10 a.m. in Eastern Standard Time in the US. Would just about give us the right, as close to a sweet spot as we can get in getting the chance for everybody to be able to participate online. If there's a timing on that doesn't work for any particular group for any reason, then yeah, please either shout now or let me know at some point and we can think about that. And then to pick one day in a month where we regularly have those meetings running through. In terms of contributions to the seminar series, Tyler has offered to give an introduction to his recent tree paper, rethinking the ecological drivers of hominid evolution. I think that would be a good kickoff to get people thinking some new ideas to showcase that paper. And then as Lynn was alluding to, the Brian, Justin, Tyler, and potentially others thinking about reviewing or putting together something on the archaeological data in terms of establishing how theories can we set up that we can then test with the climate and vegetation information. I think if we can tweak that, I think they're keen to do that, and also to talk to other archaeologists. I don't think that will be a problem. In terms of the synthesis of African climate data, Melissa and Jim have indicated that they're happy to speak to that. There may be others and paleoclimatologists who want to join with that and make that into a bigger sort of presentation. And then I think very much in line with what Lynn was saying, a sort of review of vegetation records, Lynn, Gemma, and also Rahab. Where are we with that African pollen database? What's the state of the art? That's probably the database that's accelerating most at the moment. So keeping people on top of those developments and keeping the ball rolling with those data sets going in, I think that would be a good seminar to have early on in the series, just because I know that a lot of people are engaged with that, and maybe we can draw more people into getting data sets uploaded. I think that would be really nice. Any questions on those seminars that have been offered from the North American side of things? No, good. The key papers that they started to outline here was thinking about the data availability and best practices with use with that data, and to do that really across all the different groups and across the different data sets. So when I was talking to Sarah last night, one of the sort of ideas was that if early on in the series we could have a set of talks, okay, here's the archaeological data kind of review, here's the vegetation data, APD stuff, here's the paving climate data kind of synthesis, and then basically bolt those three. I'm just on two computers at the same time. I'll look over here, looking at the other screen. Then that would kind of get us a long way to a kind of synthetic paper that a lot of people could contribute to bring together and kind of act as a platform for developing further work from. So I think that's a very positive idea, and would work across multiple groups and would necessarily have many people involved, which is sort of the point of this. The final paper that they downloaded was like a human behavior synthesis paper, and I'm not entirely sure what they mean by that. Understanding human behavior is obviously, I mean, I have the difficulty understanding the humans in the same room as me, but like specifically,
I'm not going to say what I'm thinking right now. We're going to have this conversation when the Zoom is off. I'm just telling you.
But I think also linking in with that, the archaeology paper, and very much in line with what Eleanor was thinking about yesterday in terms of using these kind of theories about human populations and distribution and what people are doing, and then linking that, how can we test some of those ideas with the climatic or the vegetation data. I think that's a nice idea. Good, and I think that's basically sums up what I had in this email this message from Sarah, and our conversation yesterday with just some notes there on timings. Okay, I shall stop sharing that screen. Thoughts or questions on the input that I may or may not have represented correctly from the North American Hub? No, good. Okay, in which case I'm going to hand over to the sick one.
No,
I'm not going to hand over. I'm going to. She's not going to speak. I'm going to talk. Okay. Otherwise, it's going to be tricky. Okay, so.
Sure. Just make a joke of a dying person. Shame on you.
I'm sorry. I should be a nice.
No, you're not sorry. No, you're not sorry.
Okay, so what we had the European meeting, or European-based people meeting this morning, and we were. What did we think about in terms of seminars? 2 real seminars that came out of this to deliver in the short term. Martin has offered a seminar on which essentially exists, which is about.
It's about the Paleocene transition, so it's a bit older than the time scale that was mostly discussed. It's about the idea that has been proposed for a long time that the increase in Northern Hemisphere glaciation led to some changes in Africa that sparked points in human evolution, and his paper shows clearly that this isn't how this works. So it's a fairly nice paper, overview paper about debunking an idea that has been around for a very long time and showing that these connections is by far not as easy. So that would be a wonderful talk, I think, to get the seminar rolling.
Yeah, so I think that's again, because that's ready and ready to go, then we might just start with something along those lines. The other one was again the ideas from Eleanor and related to these different hominin populations, the Denisovans and the Homos and the Neanderthals, and how that we might link that with the climatic data, or where these sort of biogeographic barriers are, and that to come somewhere in this first sort of series of talks. So those were the two key talks that we offered or have come forward that seem to fit with that. We then, in terms of the papers, the first one of those, which will probably develop in the next few months, early in the next year, is really trying to link the paleoclimate modeling from Neil Edwards and Phil Holden's work with the paleoclimate data that's generated from the actual empirical data from the archives, which Stephanie's been working on, and trying to overlay those data sets and to start work really in earnest on writing that early in the new year. And then the second manuscript was really thinking about dynamics during the Holocene and thinking about whether we can detect the paleo, the ENSO signal in driving vegetation change across the continent. And I think that would be one that necessarily then draws in people from different regions with different regional expertise to really see if we can interpret those records correctly from the people that are really experts. So we'll be reaching out to various people in those areas to check that we're interpreting the analysis is reasonable. So I think that could be quite a collaborative manuscript as well. Once we've done some of that initial analysis, we can circulate that round. And the final two thoughts were, one, potentially about linking up vegetation data with biomass estimate maps, and we need to just check up about which data sets really exist, and that would sort of naturally jive with those paleoclimate. So looking at it from a different sort of way, a different sort of model approach, I think that those two things would fit together. And then the sort of slightly different discussion that we had this morning was then also about the paleo fire record and whether it's an interesting idea to start to collate or look at those paleo fire records from across Africa. I know there's about 50 odd records in the global charcoal database from the African continent. Could we mobilize more data sets? Are there other people working on this? And so that was another thought that we had about, like, what are these fire dynamics going on across the continent through various time periods, and how might that play in with different ideas that are happening. And I think that's covers what we discussed. Any thoughts or comments? Did I misrepresent anything? No. In which case, the next job is to collate this into a program of events for us, where we can all meet up again and keep the ball rolling of this. And I think the trick to that is to have a.
Hang on.
There's a Gemma Finch message on paleo fire.
Something Everett Delange is working on.
Okay, cool. So yeah, if people are interested in this, and we can draw on that. And yeah, I think Laurent Bremont and some of the French group were also working on collating charcoal data sets as well. So I think that's also there's other people to link up with. So I think this is another kind of satellite, like we were talking about yesterday about the ancient DNA, and and whether there's other groups of people that we can kind of draw into this, that would be good. But yeah, so that would be good. In terms of the Slack channel idea that came up to give us a space to go into, I think it's relatively easy, I think, to set one of these things up. And I'm going to try and do that maybe even on the train home this afternoon. And then I will circulate that. As long as I've got everybody's email list, I'll then email the link to that round. And I think that will give us a platform where we can set up little hashtaggy things to theme different hubs or different papers or whatever anybody wants to create within there. So I think that's a good suggestion, and I'm going to try and get that enacted, in the next few days, so that we've got that framework to work on. I think in terms of the seminar series, to give us a sequence of regular activities, I want to talk particularly with Rahab and Sarah and Stephanie and Lynn and myself, and we'll agree a schedule of events, but with roughly one a month, and then if we can get possibly one or two of those before Christmas, focused on some of the science aspects, maybe Martin's talk, and maybe Tyler's got this new paper out, and then start the new year by really trying to get in, to give people a bit of time to think about, okay, can we have a seminar that's thinking about, okay, what climate data are available from Africa and where would we find it, what vegetation data are available from Africa and where we would find it, and what's the archaeological data sets. So if we then had a kind of 3 data heavy compilations, which might involve multiple people coming together to put that together, it's not asking you to do it very short term, so we've got a bit of time to try and get that organized. I think that would be nice. And then there may be 1 or 2 more seminars before we then get to the next big meeting, where which would be in about 6 months time, so 6 or 7 months time, sometime in the spring next year. And obviously I think that would give us a good trajectory. Hopefully by the time we get to that point of the next meeting, we can actually have a sequence of sort of scientific presentations from the various groups that have come together on the little project aspects that are working, the kind of proto papers that are developing. We've got these plots, we've got this paper, we've got this idea, even if it's relatively rough and ready, this is where we've got I think we can then see that as more of a scientific meeting, if you like, where we can present stuff that's coming out of the various groups, as opposed to this meeting, which has been a bit more, just getting people talking. Hopefully, obviously the conversations will continue, but then hopefully we can get some solid directions, and from that point we'll then set a trajectory for submissions to the Quaternary International Special Issue. My aim is to have a sort of deadline for submissions in about 9 to 12 months time for those manuscripts. So we've got a year to prepare stuff. I need to confirm with the journal and with Inquire about that scheduling, but I think that's a reasonable time scale to get people to generate stuff and to put stuff together. So with a view to have the submissions for the journal together, in 12 months time, I think would be a reasonable ask. And hopefully we can get somewhere between, I don't know how many we need for an issue, but somewhere between around 10 manuscripts, probably more than 7 and less than 15 manuscripts that go into that, depending on exactly how long and how big and how fat they are. But aiming for that sort of number to be ready to be submitted this time-ish next year, and then we've got a chance of reviewing them, which probably takes 3 to 6 months by the time they've been through revisions, which would give us a publication date for the volume in time for 2023, 2024-ish, 2023, which is when the Inqua Rome Congress is, where we're also hopefully going to have a session and showcase some of this work to the wider Inqua community. So I think that will be, I think that scheduling works quite well. I think that's all that I wanted to say. Have I forgotten anything?
No,
No.
I think that's about it. I think we should write up the overall schedule for people to have something in their hands. And the one homework we will do is we try to contact people that were suggested to us from, for instance, ASFA yesterday about North and West Africa. So we will try to get a North-West African hub organized for the next big meeting in 6 months or so, and see if we can get folks from that side of the continent involved as well. We have to see how well this works, but we will try to get that organized.
So the to-do list is contact people, geographic locations, the ancient DNA people, potentially fire people.
Yeah.
There is set up Slack channel.
Yep.
Seminar schedule.
Yeah.
And I think that
On an overall time frame, maybe you
Yeah.
can put it up on the blog.
yeah. And I think the hub coordinators, we have a meeting already booked in to reflect on this and go through that and agree on those timings in about a week's time, I think.
I think so.
I think we already have that booked in. So we can confirm that. So in about a week or so, we should then have something to broadcast back out to everybody as to what the next steps are and how things are going to proceed with that. Any other comments from out there in the world? Here's somebody. Yes.
I think this is the East African hub that just
Okay.
went on.
Lynn, anything from South Africa? She's going to switch herself on again.
I think we all happy with that. Yeah. Thumbs up from South African side.
Okay, great. Well, it's been fabulous to see all you guys down there, and hopefully you've had some useful discussions, and these will continue. So yeah, great. Thanks for all the input, and I think that's great. Rahab, anything final? It's also great to see all you guys in the museum and hanging out. Is there any thoughts? Everybody happy there? They look happy.
Yeah, we are all good.
Yeah, great. And also good that the people can join online. I mean, hopefully European people, we can actually get a bit more physically together in the near future, and that will also be beneficial. I hope that's also the case. We might even get Manu to join us. He's in Germany. He's got no excuse. So although he doesn't leave his house very much these days.
Just waiting for an invitation. I just need a reason to leave my house.
Good. Okay. In which case, I think I've said enough. You guys are probably sick of listening to me talk, and I look forward to seeing you at our first seminar in probably a month or so's time. We'll give Martin, if it's you, we'll give you some warning and be in contact with that. Brilliant. It's been amazing, actually, just to see these. I was saying to Stephanie as we were walking through Potsdam last night, it's kind of weird to think about, like, oh, there's a group of people in Port Elizabeth, there's a group of people in Nairobi all hanging out doing paleo stuff, and it's all coming together. So maybe this is a benefit of COVID enhanced Zoom and online meetings, that these regional meetings can happen. We can actually get more people involved and more people connected. Somehow with these meetings now, our new way of working can, in a hybrid form, actually be, an improvement of getting people involved. But I've certainly, enjoyed it, and it's been great to meet new people. It's been great to see old people that I've known for a while, and I look forward to seeing you at the first seminar in in about a month's time or so. So thank you very much. And I think we can probably sign out.
Yes,
Okay.
I think so too.
Before, don't die. We
Sorry.
need you. We need you.
Sorry.
Right. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you for organizing this.
Bye.
Thanks so
Cheers.
much.
Bye.
Nice, everybody.
We can't leave.
I don't have to say it on here.
Sí, ilikuwa intense. Some extent, lakini ilikuwa nzuri. Hii ndio nataka kuweka trick, nataka kila mtu ajue nayo. I don't want to say something. This photo is what I want to see. Pero, like, you like this photo? Nzuri. Hii ndio nataka kutumia.